Hi, students. How are you doing? Welcome to cimnanya. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So I came across a video where, uh, it was a panel and they were talking about FK Jr. How he was telling people, like, in front of black people, telling them that black kids really have to grow up and that they have to teach them how to suck in racism or how to, how to suck in racism, how not to react when racism happens to them, that it is going to make them a strong person and build their character and make them to be immune to racism. And I am asking, how come it is only in black community or black people that do not have bill against racism? Now, this is to tell you that their plan for you people is going to be on a very long thing. Because for somebody to wake up and say that we have to teach black kids, not to react to racism, how to be immune, how to suck it up, how to swallow it, because it's going to make them better people and all that. What happened to teaching your own people the history, American history, so they will know what you all ancestors did to people that look like me, instead of looking for a way to suppress other people's kids, suppress their feelings, their emotions, and put their mental health at stake just because you want your own people to be all right. You lie, sir. Let's get into this video.
Something about like the tone change. So I don't know. I don't know if this is a conversation worth having.
I hate to tag this to RFK Jr. There's a clip circulating where he's talking to a room full of black people and he's telling them that they need to raise their children to be able to handle racism, to be able to withstand racism, and that if they're able to do that, they'll be like Avengers and racism won't affect them. And he says that's more likely to happen than ending racism, because I don't think that's ever going to happen. Now, what he's effectively saying is, if you can change the narrative, you don't have to change their reality. You just change how they think, right? So they start to think that racism is something that they need to be tough enough to withstand. The problem with that logic is that's exactly how black children were raised from at least the end of slavery until very, very recently, where we started to go, hey man, fuck that, we breaking cycles, right? Our children deserve to be children. Crazy part is, the idea is he's saying, I need you to make your children responsible for racism's impact on them. But I don't believe that white children should have to know about racism because they're too young for these discussions. And we don't have to pretend that that's what's being said, because we see they're taking all types of history that make white children uncomfortable out of schools. So here is black people being held responsible for how racism impacts them, while white people are given a pass to not even think about it. All of that said is, instead of us changing people's material conditions, a lot of this ends up being on us to just change how we approach the world. And Kendrick saying he's the best is that conversation. It's that I have self-doubt. I have insecurities. I have questions about whether or not No, the fuck I don't. No, wait, why do I have those questions? Who put those questions in my head? We had an episode where I was like, hey man, sometimes that voice in your head isn't your voice. Can you make it your voice? And I feel like that's what Kendrick was doing in this one, is he's making it his voice. He's saying, anybody who doesn't believe in me, that's their flaw, not mine, right? I am the GOAT. And if I'm not the GOAT, prove it.
This is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And a lot of people are reacting to Roland Martin talking about what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said. First, I'm going to show you what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said about black children need to become basically superhumans to deal with racism. And then I'm going to explain why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. should have been in that hotel. If you know, then you know.
Oh, those kind of things had no impact on me. And that's the kind of resilience that we want to give the black American children, so that they have so much confidence in their own future that when they do encounter the inevitable racism, that it will bounce off them, that they'll be, like the Avengers, they'll be immune to it. And then we don't have to stop racism altogether, because we're never going to be able to do that, but we can have children that are not affected by it. don't internalize it. Don't see it as their problem. They see it as the person who's racist problem.
First off, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was giving this speech in front of an audience of black people, blacks for Kennedy, when he was running for the nomination of President of the United States. These Rocket Raccoons were sitting here listening to Master spew this rhetoric like Master was onto something. This yabbering yeast yellow yogurt yeti is standing there talking about how black children need to basically become superheroes to deal with racism, because it is not the responsibility of racists to stop being racist or to be held accountable for their racism. So basically, we're being gaslighted and told that if on September the 15th, 1963, in Birmingham at the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, that if Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robinson, and Carol Denise McNair would have been superheroes, the bombing wouldn't have left them dead. It would have just bounced off them. So instead of holding the bigots and racists that were holding the water hoses and releasing dogs on black children just needed to have superpowers and take responsibility for the racism of white people. Because it is too much to expect for white people not to be racist. Real quick, how many of you all think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has that same energy when talking about the fact that his father, Robert F. Kennedy Sr., was shot in 1968 at the Ambassador Hotel by Sirhan Sirhan? Or should his uncle, John F. Kennedy Jr., been a superhero on November the 22nd, 1963, when he was shot by an assassin's bullet? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here thinks that our children need to be superheroes. No, I think our problem is we've been too busy trying to just be anti-heroes instead of supervillains. Let me see if I can fix that.
This is all I got from this video, and this is also to tell you people that they are not planning anytime soon to fix what they have done. Because if they have plans to fix what they have done, they will never ever wake up one day to gaslight themselves. Because black people, how did he wake up to say something like this? Black kids grow up so fast. When I say so fast, very, very fast than their other counterparts, right? When you see a 9-year-old child, he is already very smart, street smart, 5 years, 6 years, because they know that the streets is not good for them. And I love the fact that black people are also always ready to teach their kids what is going on and how the street is not good for them. When I mean street, I mean the outside of their home. It's not nice to them. The other people, right? Now, I remember that there were some videos sometime that I brought, like, something that happened to black kids. You can imagine arresting a 9-year-old child, saying that you think she is an adult or he's an adult. Like, how? How do you see a 9-year-old child, no matter how grown that child is, you definitely will know that this is a child, right? That is one of the reasons why I said black kids grow up so fast, because they do not have that opportunity to be to be paying them and all that. Because if they don't grow up fast, the street will tell them what life is all about, looking or having this kind of skin color like mine, right? Now, so this man woke up to gaslight himself that black kids, they have to teach them on how to be strong, to be able to suck in anything that comes their way, because they are suckers. Because what they know how to do is to absorb anything that comes their way. That is to tell you how not nice some people are, but they are always very quick to enact or a bill for other people, enter this bill, enter that bill. Black people are the only people that do not have any anti-Black bill, and they know the reason why they did it. Now, each time they talk about teaching history, of course, they are not going to teach history because it reminds them of some certain things that they did. How do you want them to teach history? How do you want them to have history books in classes and all that? Because Black American history is violent. We do not want our kids to know all this happened, because you are amazing. Now, of all people to do it's always Black people that they always use as experiments. Because why would they experiment it on us? Because they have done other experiments and it worked for them. Now it's also a way to experiment how they are going to survive when they are at the receiving end, because Black people have always been at the receiving end. Now tell me how somebody stood on that podium, sat in front of, see, there are some spaces, thank God for this history that I started talking about. There are some spaces I would not be in anymore. I don't know why, but I think it's actually very important to be enlightened, because when you are enlightened, when it comes to some certain things, there are some certain things you will take, there are some certain things you will not take. And there are some spaces I will not be in. He dare not speak about Black kids like that. Because when I say Black kids, I say with full chest, because tomorrow it might be my own child. Maybe because I don't have a child yet, I am not married yet, and I think one day, if I support things like this, that one day I will not experience. Absolutely, I will experience it. So we'll start tackling it from now. Because what they are trying to tell us is that your kids are going to be at the receiving end. Parents are also going to suck in the ones they first work and other places. Then the kids will also come and suck in their own. Like, at what age do you want the kids to start sucking in what that doesn't make any sense? When you all can teach your kids about history, tell them about G0t, teach the necessary things, let them know what the history is all about. Now, this is also one of the reasons why when you talk to majority of them, they will tell you that I have learned more history in my entire life, that all through the period that I was in school. Somebody that is saying this is probably a graduate, somebody that went through the whole elementary to college and came out. And if the person is absolutely telling you with clear conscience that I have never learned history like I have learned from Black people on TikTok, that is to tell you something, that they know what they are fighting. Why? Because they do not want to look into their kids' eyes and tell them this was what we did. I remember one Ukrainian that said, Russian and Ukrainian that said that I never knew history was like this, not until I started reading. When I was in school, what they taught us in Russia or in Ukraine was that when they found out that slavery was very bad, they now united everybody with their family and everybody lived happily ever after. So they did not tell them anything concerning history and what happened during history, not until she grew up and started making her own research and she started screaming. This really tells a lot. I am not trying to incite anything, but each time I talk about things like this and I tell everybody, make sure you teach your kids the right thing, because most times when you do not teach them, you see them outside being crazy. When they are crazy, it affects them. Teach them what they are supposed to know so they will be super woke. Because if you do not teach them directly or indirectly, the outside world will teach them in not a good way. Because when you are supposed to receive a kind of education in your home and your parents or anybody did not give it to you, when the outside world give it to you, it does not come nice. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.